Hey everyone, welcome to this week's conversation. I appreciate you tuning in. My guest tonight is a country music legend with multiple platinum albums and live shows unlike any you've ever seen. He's truly one of a kind, and there's no doubt about it. Please welcome to the conversation, Neal McCoy. Hey Neal, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you working that, no doubt about it. I
Oh
need all
yeah.
the help I can get out here.
Oh yeah, I had to find a way. One of my all-time favorite songs. Had to find a way to get that in there, and it was a little
Man,
easier to
thank
fit that in than Wink or Billy's Got His Beer
you.
Goggles on.
No, that's right.
Yeah. Now, Neal, I wanted to start off by talking about an article that I just read the other day, and it said that
Oh,
if you do something for 21 days in a row, it becomes a habit, and if you do something for
oh,
90 days, it can become a lifestyle. Now you're about
oh.
to reach 3,650 days. Now that's 10 years for those of you who haven't done the math yet of reciting the Pledge of Allegiance on your Facebook page every day. Absolutely amazing. But Neal, I want to just quickly turn the clock back about 10 years. What
Yes, sir.
inspired you to recite the pledge on that very first day?
You know, it was getting, it was early 2016. And the Democrats were starting to figure out who they were going to have run. The Republicans were doing the same thing for the presidential election later that year.
Yeah.
And I could see that. I know how those things usually go. I've lived through a bunch of presidential elections, so they can get ugly and saying
Mhm.
stuff and not necessarily meaning it, but just trying to maybe sway a vote over to their side. And I
Sure.
had already kind of started a little bit, and I said, you know what? I think I'm just gonna. I told my wife, I said, I'm just gonna go write the Pledge of Allegiance down on my Facebook page. I'll see if anybody what they'll say to that. And some people write and say, "Oh man, that's cool. Well, what's that about? I mean, why are we doing this?" so I told Melinda, I said, you know what? I'm gonna record. I'm gonna go live on my Facebook live page and see what people say. And sure enough, they said, "Oh my gosh, are you dying? Do you have cancer?
Oh,
Why are you doing this?" And I just thought, no. And then I basically just said, you know what? I love and respect our flag and our country, and I just wanted to see if anybody else did too. Didn't not matter what side you're on, just see how you felt about it. And they responded. A lot of them are. And now we've said it, like you said, almost 3,650 days, and that's going to be 10 years. January 7th be 10 years without missing a day. Pretty proud of it.
yeah, and the other thing, Neal, as you're talking about that very first time you did it, and then I'm sort of thinking through the years and all that's happened. It's been kind of an eventful 10 years or so. Like, how have
Boy,
you been able to keep the tradition alive? It's absolutely amazing.
it got like you said that where it became a habit and then it becomes a way of life. And I think it is exactly what it's done for me that I because once I got into it and did it for a while, people were telling me, you know what, that's really cool. I try to say it with you. If not, I catch the replay.
Hmm.
But I try not to miss a day. And some of them, and then you get some comments from some older people that don't get around much. Maybe they're in a nursing home. They look forward to saying the Pledge of Allegiance with me every morning. They'll say, I can't go do anything else, but to have you. And it just means the world to me. My day doesn't officially start until I've said the Pledge of Allegiance with you. And I go, oh my gosh. And so I get that weighing heavy on me. And I think, well, if I quit now, it's going to upset some people. And there have been a lot of things you said in 10 years. Our mom died 7 years ago. Our dad died 6 years ago. So we
Oh,
were going through that. But one of the reasons, and then I'll shut up. I know I talk way too much. I'm sorry.
no, I
Uh,
love hearing it. I appreciate it.
yes, sir. Well, thank you. One of the reasons I've kept doing it is, like I mentioned to you, our mom died about 7 years ago.
Mm.
And she is one of the main reasons I started ever doing it because I grew up, she's from the Philippines. My father met her in service. So she's an immigrant. And so we were always, me and my older brother and sister, we were always listening to mom calling the Philippines on the regular phone and being knowing it's expensive, very expensive, and she couldn't stay on there long. But we always heard her always talking about getting to the embassy and through immigration and just trying what it's trying to take to get a brother or sister over in the United States of America. And
Mm.
because we would hear her say, you just don't understand. It's the greatest country in the world, and all the freedoms that we have
Mm.
that she didn't grow up with, and of 18 kids, she was second oldest of 18 kids, and they didn't grow up with anything like that. So she instilled early in us. She basically said, "You're going to know your God and you're going to love your country. What you do after that, I don't know."
Wow. No, that is amazing,
Yeah.
Neal. And I really appreciate you sharing that. I'm curious, and I think you've kind of talked about some of it a little bit in terms of the impact you've had on some of those folks, especially when you say people don't even
Yes,
start
sir.
their day till they do that. But are there any other memories of any particular times you've recited the pledge, given either where you were or when it was, that kind of stick out over the years?
We've had. I was at the North Pole once visiting Santa Claus, and that was pretty cool. Uh, and then some of the places I've been saying, and I've down in the Caribbean. I've gone on vacation. I've gone on cruise ships, and we always say it. And now the country music cruise that I've been on for about 5 or 6 years in a row, going to be on there again. And they put it on their daily schedule. Join Neal McCoy, and they'll tell where I'm going to be to say.
Wow.
So you have 500 or 600 people from a cruise that will come and say it with me, and then just and really, I think there's not one particular Pledge of Allegiance that stands out in my mind. And that's to say that
Hmm.
not really one has been any more special than just the one I did this morning
Sure.
at my house at the flagpole. And I tell everybody to celebrate our 10-year anniversary on January 7th. I said if it's not a real cool place that I would like to do it, then it's just going to be me. I'm going to go out to my ranch and I'll be right here on the phone with you because y'all are the ones
Yeah.
that have listened to me for a lot of years. But we're working on trying to get to the White House to be able to say it. So I'm excited about that. Maybe we'll get it.
Well, I was going to ask if there might be any special plans. So it sounds like there could be some things in the works. And you were actually,
Yes, sir.
I believe you were at the White House back in August as part of the country music bowling event, weren't you?
I was. That was so crazy. Our publicist called me and said, yeah, "Would you like to go bowling at the White House?" I said, "You dang right I would." Even I'd get to go to the White House. I don't know about the bowling part. I hadn't done that since junior college, but but everybody else sucked worse than I did, so I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, and I will tell
But
you,
yeah,
just Neil, I have to tell you, when I saw the photos from that event, I'm looking at all the different people on there, and pretty much everybody, not everybody, but close to everybody, and now we can add you to the list, have been on my show at one time or another, and several of them have been on multiple times. So I just like
oh
was
wow,
wow watching that event. Look, I wish I could have been there because that looked like it was a lot of fun.
it was a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll be doing this again.
Well, there you go. I'd love to do that again, and I hope
Yes,
that
sir.
some special things happen for you then on January 7th in terms of those plans.
Thank you.
That would be
Thank you.
great. You talked about your mom a little while ago and her feelings about
Yes,
the
sir.
country, and one of the things I wanted to ask you was, you've always been a proud and vocal supporter of our military, 15 USO tours, I believe, which is incredible.
Yes,
So,
sir.
is your love and appreciation for our troops, does that come from your mom? Is that where it comes from?
A lot of it does. Just understanding. I, I appreciate the troops and that have given us the freedoms. But mom is one that wanted to come to the United States of America all her life. She this every one of any and I can tell you this: people from that don't live in the United States want to be in the United States. And I
Yeah.
know some of them go about it the wrong way, but they really want to be here because they do. They think, oh my gosh, we would have opportunity to do this and do that, and
Yeah.
and where they're living now, they just don't get those chances. So yeah, I think it was from mom, but then my dad was in the army when he met mom, and
Okay.
my grandfather was in World War I. So, and at the time it was just called the World War, and that's
Yeah.
the coolest part about it. He's got a little a plaque that says he received in the World War because there was no other one,
That's
so it was
right.
just the World War. It wasn't World War I.
Wow.
It didn't become one until he had two. So, but yes, that is one of the reasons. I love being around those guys and girls that are still, not they're not getting drafted. They're volunteering to go
Yeah.
serve their country. That's another step even higher for me to. And sometimes we get a chance to sing when we're over in some of those places. Sometimes we don't. We just go shake hands and hug necks and say, you know what, doggone it, we love you. We appreciate you letting us get to do what we do at home, and we don't even think about it when y'all are out here doing some of the things that you have to do.
Yeah. And, Neil, I can't even imagine how much that must mean to them because, you're watching you on social media and how positive, the positivity and the inspiration, you uplift
Thanks.
people every day. But having seen you perform live back in the 90s, and I talked to Neil a little bit about this before we turned the camera on, and I have to say, like, your energy, enthusiasm, your vocal range was off the charts. And
I
I can't help
appreciate
but
it.
wonder, like, how have you been able to perform at such a high level all these years and maintain that energy? It's incredible.
Well, I thank you. It is a degree of professionalism that I hold myself to, just like an athlete, a
Mm.
really great athlete. They try to take care of their bodies, take care of what they have, and I do the same thing. I work out every day. I'm 67, but I still get around pretty dang good. I mean, you can't unless you knew I was 67. I hope that they wouldn't, that maybe they wouldn't think I was, but
No.
I work, I drink water, I try and I get rest, and so they're vocally, because when your body's tired, your voice is tired too. It's a like a muscle.
Mm.
So I try and do all the right things, and I don't know why, but 30 something years ago, I decided. I said, you know what? If I'm going to be around now, I know it's 67, and I still want to put on those same shows, then I'm going to have to do a lot of work, put the time in to stay physically in shape and vocally in shape. And I haven't lowered the keys on anything, but I'll tell you a little old cheating secret. Now it's just between me and you. And I tell the
Okay.
young kids, they
Yeah.
say, "How do you still sing so good?" And I said, "Well, when you go up and you're singing, 'What did you think?' Something, hey, that's biting down. You can hear, hey, you're forcing. But when you go, hey, and if you still
Ah,
look like, hey, if you still look like you're hitting that, if you have the mic, if you're swallowing the mic, they don't know. I tell people, all the young people, I said they listen. The crowds listen with their eyes. So they don't know as long as you're not missing pitch on something. They
yeah.
don't know if you're really pushing, and if you're pushing like that, hey, that is what closes down your vocal cords, and you can't continue to do that. And so when I get to the high parts, I go, hey, and then I gut gritted, hey, but I'm not stomping on it. I know it's too much information,
No,
but that's
that's
my little secret to
no, I
still
think
be able.
that's Neil, that I again, I appreciate everything you're sharing. And just a few weeks ago, John Berry, who's got one of the greatest voices
Yes,
ever,
he does.
and John actually is my only four-time guest, so he's been on the show more
Oh,
than anybody else.
well, we're going
And
to break that. Just hold on.
okay,
We're
there
going to
you
break
go,
that.
another record you're going to break, absolutely. And
Yes,
here's
sir.
here's the thing, like when I talk with him about that and just maintaining those and he said some similar things, but it's just again so impressive to see because there are some acts in not so much in country but in some other genres where maybe early on there might have been some manipulation or something in the studio
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
wow,
Yes, sir.
some of them they're not quite sure, or maybe they should have. Anyway, I won't go on, but it's just amazing to see. And I just had to point that out because it's just as good, if
Oh,
not
thank you.
better, today than it was back then when I saw you all those years ago.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure. So I have two other questions I wanted to ask. One deals with kind of looking forward, and that is looking ahead here in 2026. Anything you can think of that your fans have to look forward to other than the big day on January 7th?
You know what? I've been putting, when I get time and money, I'll go record a track to a song that I found. So maybe there's even a couple of songs that I found years ago from when I was listening for, because when and you know this, you know the business, but when you're looking for material, you get sent a whole bunch of things,
Oh yeah.
and a lot of demos and stuff. But then some of them you just hang on to because they're so dang good. Sometimes, and these demo singers were terrific back then. And so when you'll get a great song and you hear them singing it, there have actually been a couple of songs I just said, yeah, I can't go do better than that. So I'm not going to cut that because that demo singer nailed it. And I don't want
Wow.
to go sing every note that he hit, but that's exactly how I would have sang it. And I didn't want to do that. So there's that. But then again, I have just held on to some songs that I finally got around now because it's not near as expensive to track and put a vocal on like it used to be.
Hmm.
So I've got about 10 of those, and I think I'm going to be putting that out as a project before too long.
Oh wow.
Just I don't know if you call it an EP or an album, or I don't know. And you can help me with this too because you talk to a lot of people. I want to be able to put it on a USB stick or whatever you call that, because now there's no people don't buy CDs anymore.
Yeah.
Most cars don't even have a CD player.
Yeah, I know.
So I'd like to put all those songs on one of those like USB sticks or something, somewhere
Hmm.
they could plug it in the car, the computer, and listen to it. And so that's my next goal.
Yeah, there's
But I
there's
do want to
that,
give them
and
music.
then it's one of the things. It's glad you brought that up because now with everything being digital And,
Yeah.
so
Basic.
whether it's on Spotify or iTunes, so that's a good place to put it where people will access it. But there was always something about whether it was a record album or a CD, like opening it up, reading the liner notes. There was something about having that, thing in your hands, like you
That's right.
own the
Totally
music, you
agree.
own something. I kind of miss that. But whatever form that your new music comes out, I'd love to have you back, talk about it, and do whatever I can to make sure as many people as possible get to hear it in
Good.
whatever
Well,
way
I'd
they're
love to
listening
help.
to it.
Yes, sir.
No, that's for sure. So, Neil, I had one last question for you for today.
Okay.
That is, looking back at all you've accomplished, all you've done in your career, what would you say you're most proud of?
Oh my gosh. I think you mentioned the USO tours.
Hmm.
I think I am because I appreciate our military and obviously I appreciate our flag. Uh, just any of those USO tours I got to take, because it puts you sometimes in uncomfortable positions, just performing where sometimes acoustically and if you get a little PA, it's usually not very good.
Yeah.
Or just singing straight to them, like I'm singing to you. So we were meant to be together, no doubt about it. And so when you're singing to them and they're there and they know those songs, it brings back great memories. And sometimes for these younger kids that are out there serving, the memories they bring back are my mom and dad used to love that song.
Oh,
So they still do. And so when I get a chance to sing it, and if you're singing it acoustically, just right there to them, and they're sitting as close as I am to my phone talking to you,
hmm.
that is so effective. And you just want to
Wow.
wrap your arms around all of them and just say, you know what? I hope y'all are doing good. And I hope people around you take care of you. I know you got a tough duty, but it's no tougher really than some of our first responders, deputy sheriffs, policemen. They're
Yeah.
fighting on the front lines just here in the United States of America. So we pull for those guys too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Neil, it comes through. And one of the amazing things about you is it comes through not in just your words, but in your actions and the things that
Oh,
you
thank you.
do. And that means a lot. And I also think, I know a lot of our viewers are big fans of country music. And I actually started listening to country in the early 90s. I have to admit, before
Yeah,
that, I was, I'm in suburban Philadelphia. So
yeah,
I
that's
did
right.
love Southern rock, but, hard rock and all that stuff. And in the early 90s,
Yeah.
there was this guy named Chris Ledoux,
Oh
and I
yeah.
started listening to
Right.
those songs and the stories. And then I started listening to John Berry and you and Little
Yeah. That's
Texas and
right.
all these other bands. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I've been a fan ever since. And I think the
Good.
success that you achieved in the 90s during that run when there was so much talent to reach the levels you reached is
Yes, sir.
absolutely amazing. And I just want to congratulate you for it. And you continue to do it to this
Thanks.
day. So thank you, Neil. I just want to thank you again for joining
Yes,
me. I
sir.
want to wish you all the best in 2026 and looking forward to a very special day on January 7th. And also looking forward to having you back at some point soon down the road and picking up where we left off.
All right. I appreciate it. If anybody's want to join us at Neal McCoy Music, you can find us and join us about 10 a.m. Central on January the 7th for the 10th year anniversary. Thank you very much for that.
I will be there, and folks, make sure you're there too. You'll be glad you did. And even feel free to wear something
Yes,
like this,
I
which I
absolutely
had to
love
break
it.
out just for Neil and the topic we were talking about today.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So, folks, I thank you for watching. We couldn't do this without you. We'll see you next time. This week's episode has been brought to you by Doherty and Company Insurance Services for all your business and personal insurance needs. Our friends at Tennis Addiction in Exton, PA. And the Malin Agency, where exceeding expectations is how they do business.